Hello everyone and welcome to the Kickabout review of our predictions of the table that we did all the way back in August. Me and Dan sat down and we wrote down in these little books here and did a video on it actually of what we thought the table would look like. How confident are you, Dan, of your predictions come at the start of this season?
Well, I know City won the league.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain we both got that one right.
So I've got 3 points there in the bag. Other than that, not very.
Yeah, I genuinely don't remember too much of what I've done because I don't know about you, but I've not watched the video since we did it in August.
No, I haven't. But I can tell you I didn't have Chelsea 12.
Yes, and I also didn't have West Ham 14th either. I thought we'd have a better season than that. So there's going to be some surprises. How we're going to do this, just for some sort of giggles, if you like. Nice and simple. We'll mark each other 3 points if we got the position bang on. And what we're going to do is we'll run through each other's. So I've got Dan's predictions here. Dan has got mine, and we will just run through them one at a time and see what we've got. So let's begin.
Cool.
Dan,
Yep.
in 20th place at the start of the season, you predicted that Bournemouth would come last. They did not.
They did not. I'm glad I was wrong.
Yeah, me too. They've had a good season. I think we all probably thought the worst for them at the start of the season when Scott Parker was there, but they've clawed themselves out of it well with Gary O'Neill. So no points there.
No points for me. And Chris, you also said Bournemouth were going to finish last. Yeah, so we both had a lot of faith in Bournemouth this season.
Well, I mean, they didn't really invest a huge amount, did they?
No.
So I think that was a fairly educated guess. This one, in 19th place, the first of many, I suspect, in terms of how wildly out, you had Fulham.
Strong start.
You had Fulham to come last. Second last. I mean, they've had a fantastic season. I don't think, even though it wasn't a huge surprise that maybe they didn't get relegated, it was a surprise to see just how well they did this year. They've had a brilliant season. So, definitely no points there, mate.
You were much closer than I was. You said Southampton. So you're 1 place out. You get a t-shirt.
Thanks, mate. You had in 18th place, you had Southampton in 18th. So again, they were relegated, but just not quite in the right position. But once again, nil point.
18th for you. You also thought Fulham were going to get relegated. You just thought they'd do slightly better.
So we had the same bottom three.
Yeah.
But in a different order.
Different order.
Interesting. And only one of those got relegated. All right. Irritatingly, this is your first 3 points.
Lovely.
Because you correctly guessed Everton to finish 17th. I hope that I had a similar premonition. Obviously, they survived relegation just last season. You obviously didn't have any faith in them to do well this season. And that's 3 points on the board for you.
I can tell you did not have a similar premonition. You went for Leeds. So you weren't far off, but they were in the drop zone. And you thought they would be safe this season.
Oh, they would have been if they didn't employ Sam Allardyce. Okay. Well, this isn't going very well because you've correctly guessed that Nottingham Forest would be in 16th place. I need to start paying attention not only to your fantasy league, but also your predictions as well. So, yeah, well done. Nottingham Forest survived. Of the 3 promoted teams, you obviously felt that Forest were the only ones that were going to survive. You got this position bang on.
Yeah, I was partly right.
Yep, they had probably 45 different players this season, but they did eventually survive in the second to last day with that win over Arsenal.
In 16th place, you've put Everton, so you weren't far off. 1 place out again. That's another t-shirt.
15th place. This one is I wouldn't say wildly wrong, because I think they have people thought second season syndrome for them, that they wouldn't be as good. You went for Brentford in 15th place. They've obviously had a fantastic season.
Very good season.
Be interesting to see how they get on without Ivan Toney next year for half the season. No points there.
In 15th place, you went for Forest. So again, 1 place out.
Becoming a theme, this.
Yeah. What could have been?
Okay, well, in 14th place, you had Leeds. Wildly wrong on that one, based on the fact that they, really never never really... Did they get out of the relegation zone much this season? I mean,
they were up and down.
If they did, they were only just out of it. So, yeah, you had Leeds to be reasonably safe, and they were anything but. So, Championship awaits them.
14th for you, a team you had no faith in, apparently, was Brighton.
Oh! Okay, that one... Yeah, that's going to be up there with one of the worst predictions, isn't it, I think?
Who ended up getting Europa League football.
Yeah, and getting to a League Cup final as well. Sorry, not League Cup final. Semi-final. Right, into 13th place now. I think this one was a fairly good guess. Was Crystal Palace. Middle of the road team. Never likely to push the top 10, really, but never likely to get relegated. They ended up coming in 11th, I think. 11th. But no points for guessing 13th.
You put Brentford in 13th, so slightly more faith than I apparently had in them, but not enough faith to match where they actually finished in the league.
Okay. Actually, that is a lie. You didn't have Palace on the last one. There's some arrows pointing to...
I've swapped them.
You swapped them round. You actually had Brighton to finish in 13th, and you had Crystal Palace to finish in 12th. So you're one step closer with Palace, but it's still no points.
You sure didn't have an arrow to 10 at 11. So in 12th you had Wolves. Weren't far off actually. They were very up and down this season.
Better clear some space in my cupboard at this rate with all these t-shirts I'm getting. Right, 11th place, another one of the ones we were probably both wildly wrong because I've not apparently called them either. 11th was Leicester in your predictions. We, in our podcast this week, we had, or whichever week we are, the 30th of May, 29th of May that it released, we had Leicester down as one of the most underperforming teams, if not the most underperforming team this year, along with the likes of Chelsea. Shocking season, really. Unbelievable that they've gone down, quite frankly. You didn't think they were going to have an amazing season. I'd be surprised if I've put them higher than about 8th or 9th, but I don't think anybody realistically thought that Leicester would get relegated this year, so shocking season for them.
11th for you, first points on the board, you put Crystal Palace.
Get in! I was concerned that we're almost halfway through and that maybe, apart from City, I wasn't going to get any points. Okay. Next one here, it says more indecision from Dan here because there's more arrows here. Arrows. You eventually went with Wolves in 10th place. So
nice and wrong.
Nil point.
I mean, your 10th place decision was... No, it was worse. You went for Leicester.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say just as bad. But...
Well, I mean, the very fact that we both thought they would be, mid-table safety.
I mean, I don't think we'd be the only ones in that position thinking Leicester would be at least mid-table.
No. Here's another one that you could argue was quite wildly wrong in the end, given how the season played out. In 9th place, you went for Newcastle. I'd be surprised. Again, I would be surprised if I disagreed with you wildly on mine. I did not see Newcastle having the season they had this year. No, they were absolutely brilliant this season.
I thought they'd improve on last season, but not to that extent. Champions League, no.
So yeah, nil point there.
Turns out you didn't disagree wildly because you also put Newcastle in 9th.
Okay, all right. Right, now we're getting into the business end. You were very close on this one. In 8th place, you had Aston Villa. So 1 out on that one. Finally felt, obviously the start of the season they were poor. They sacked Gerrard, brought Emery in, who transformed them. But this finally felt like the season, once Emery joined, that Aston Villa kind of realised their potential a little bit. We've been talking about them for a couple of years, that investment's been strong, and finally they've been rewarded, and they've got Conference League football for next season, which I think would be great for them.
Yeah, definitely. You also went for Villa.
Okay.
So yeah, we were spot on. Well, both spot on at being wrong on that one, but only one place out.
West Ham you had in 7th place. 2 very strong seasons, followed by an absolute shitter of a season this year. David Moyes, I'll drop your pen. David Moyes did not have a good season in the Premier League this year at all, but he managed to keep us up. And we're obviously in a Conference League final, so it could end up being one of the most successful seasons we've had in God knows how long, which would be crazy. But I think you and a lot of other people suspected West Ham to have a stronger Premier League season this year, but that was not the case.
Me and you, apparently, because you also put West Ham in 7th.
Yeah.
I think you pretty much summed up everything.
Okay, right now we're into the top 6. Obviously, you'll be aware that there's a couple of teams we haven't mentioned that will be well documented to have had fairly poor seasons. In 6th place, Dan, you put your Manchester United. You thought that of the big 6, traditional big 6, you thought United would be the lowest placed of all of them.
Yeah. I don't remember predicting us to be that low, but...
Is this your handwriting?
It was a long time ago, and I'd probably still recovering from the season before. But I'm glad that we obviously weren't that bad, and we ended up having quite a good season in the end. And another trophy on Saturday, obviously, as well. You also put United to finish 6th. So you had about as much faith of them finishing higher up than me.
Well, that was how we finished the season before, was it?
It was, yeah, 6th and 7th. Yeah.
Right.
Decided on the last day of the season.
Yeah, and given your form,
both teams lost, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, we were sleepwalking our way to the end of that season. We should have really got ahead of you in that Europa because our fixture list was kinder than yours at the end of the season. Right, 5th place then. Dan, you went for... Who do you think you went for in 5th place?
Spurs?
You did not. You went Arsenal.
Did I?
Arsenal in 5th place. I think that's fair because I don't... the season before, they had that awful end to the season where they dropped out of the European places completely. They dropped out of the Champions League places, dropped into Europa League, which they didn't do very well in this season. So I think we all expected some level of improvement, but clearly we thought there'd be better teams in this season, and they've proved everyone wrong because they've had a very strong season. They've fallen short in the end, but a good base to go from for the future. Yeah. No points there.
You also went for Arsenal to finish 5th.
Okay.
Yeah. Bit of a trend here.
Yeah, it is. In 4th place, right, I think we're into the teams now. Anybody that's keeping score here will know that the 3 of the 4 teams that we've not mentioned have all had pretty shit seasons, let's be honest. And none more so than who you put in 4th, which is Chelsea, who finished 8 places lower than that. It's scarcely believable, 8 places lower than what you predicted in 4th place. I'm tempted to give you a -3 for that.
So in 4th, I just realised that you've also done arrows, but you've just done a really shit drawing of an arrow. So you actually had Arsenal 4th and Chelsea 5th.
Okay, so I was...
Still wrong,
yeah. But I was closer with my wrong predictions. Yeah. Okay. So in 3rd place, and I think the general... When we did this table prediction, obviously we would have annotated it as to maybe some of our reasons why. I think we both felt that for Spurs this season, this represented a real, not last chance saloon, but definitely, getting towards that in terms of their last real opportunity with this current crop of players, with Conte in at the helm, having had a good full season behind him. This was their best chance to really push that top 4, to challenge for a domestic trophy. Yeah. And boy, oh boy, did they fuck it up. They've had a dreadful season. 0 points there.
Yeah, I really thought that with Conte there, Spurs would finally win a trophy.
Or certainly look like they,
or at least improve. But yeah, no, they were shocking, and still haven't got a manager in place now. No,
and it looks like their short list of managers is getting weaker by the week. So yeah, as a West Ham fan, I must admit it's been quite entertaining watching Spurs and Chelsea fuck up this season. But yeah, 0 point there.
And you also went for Spurs to finish in 3rd. So yeah, both wrong.
Yeah. No surprises. You've gone for Liverpool in 2nd. Obviously, I think we both thought that it would be a City-Liverpool title race again this year. That wasn't the case. Liverpool had a very poor season, picked up towards the end, obviously, but Liverpool were nowhere near challenging for the title this year. So that means, I'm assuming...
also went for Liverpool to finish 2nd.
Which means we finally get some more points on the board, with Man City being our top predictions. And that means, if my memory serves me correctly, that you have beaten me 9 points to 6. Yes. I've got 2 right.
Yeah,
and you've got 3 right. Yeah. So pretty poor showing. I mean, maybe if we'd have expanded the scoring system and maybe added a point in for getting close.
Yeah, you might have actually tipped me if it had been
because I had quite a
position
few
either way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a mad season, really mad season. There's so many things that we couldn't have predicted, which is why we love the Premier League. But ultimately, we got it wildly wrong, other than the title winners. So, right, thank you very much for watching, everyone. That is going to do it for this one. Make sure you comment below on what you thought at the start of the season. Don't cheat. Let us know what you actually thought. And make sure you subscribe for more. Check out our LMA series. Check out our podcast available every Tuesday. And we'll see you all in the next one.
See you later.